The interest on my $50,000 loan for my research year during med school totals $78,000.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. So unfortunately, student loans are accruing interest and payments, monthly payments are skyrocketing. And if you don't believe me, then let's take a look at this.
So as it turns out, the student loans that I've been paying $1,500 a month for 2 years have a 17% interest rate.
A 17% interest rate is absurd for student loans. First and foremost, but let's continue.
So what I thought I've been paying off for all this time, I'm actually, I owe more than what I started off with. So Jeff Bezos, this would be a really cool time to Venmo me, bro. I owe $90,000 and I didn't even spend that much on school. Any rich person, please tap in. Kourtney Kardashian, you probably have 8 houses. I'm never gonna be able to buy one because I went to college. I'm gonna be in debt for my whole life. How does that even make sense? I signed up for when I was 17. This should not be legal, bro.
So this is obviously a sad story. I'm not going to say anything negative about this girl. I'm not going to dog on her. Many people online are doing that, and that's just not something we do here. What I do want to talk about, though, is that this unfortunate reality of student loan interest beginning now, which is just, it was going to happen at some point, and I'm not someone that's necessarily forgiving all student loans, because I think that would just kind of crash the economy if you look at the basics of the math. This situation that this woman's in with 17% interest rate on a student loan, which I'm guessing is private because most federal loans you will get are not going to have that high of an interest rate. And paying $1,500 a month for the past 2 years, it's just not enough, unfortunately, because the interest rate is so high. And the more and more I'm digging, the more and more I'm seeing that people are finding themselves in this situation. We can look at videos like this and find clues for how we can navigate going forward and how we can ultimately avoid this trap altogether if you're someone that has not gone to college yet. The point I want to make is there's solutions to this unfortunate situation. One of them being that is not to get private student loans to begin with, and actually have a video here that we're going to look at with Sallie Mae, who is notorious, this company, notorious as being a private student loan lender. Notorious because they just issue astronomical interest rates to their borrowers. And why these people get these, I guess maybe they have no option. And if that's the case, I would just say don't go to college to begin with. But let's take a look at a couple of videos of individuals who are getting screwed by Sallie Mae.
It should be illegal to put interest on student loans. What the hell is this? The interest on my $50,000 loan for my research year during med school totals $78,000. The interest is more than the loan, meaning by the end of the payment, I owe $128,000 total. Am I doing something wrong? How else are people paying for this? Should I not have went to school? I got out of school, so I called Sally.
Probably not in this particular case. Or, again, I know everyone's situation is different, and maybe he didn't have access to federal student loans. But these private loans, man, these are going to get people really bad.
Man, I was like, I can't afford these $700 payments right now. They're like, that's fine. We'll just put you on $250 payments for a year. Which means that once I get out of these $250 payments, it will actually, my loan would have actually went up because I wouldn't have been paying the full interest amount every year. So paying the minimum off my student loan every year does nothing but shave off the interest, which means the loan never goes away. Separate from this $50,000 loan, I have $250,000 in loan through the med school that I haven't even considered yet, that I don't want to think about. So I have $300,000 in direct debt. But if I include the interest, then my debt is actually over $500,000.
Now, I think when you see videos like this, and we're going to look at another one in a second, it really does give the whole college is a scam argument a lot of credence. And I think when people say college is a scam, they're not necessarily talking about the education itself. Though in some cases, I do think the education and the educators kind of prove that it can be scammy. However, the system of student loan lending, that in and of itself is a scam. And again, like I said, I'm not someone that's here saying that all student loans need to be forgiven. I think if you take out a loan, you need to pay it back. And obviously, if there are programs that allow you to pay a certain amount and allow for forgiveness, that's the government's job to enact those, and that has been the case. Then I'll go for it. You know, that's totally fine. I don't care. But trying to expect that these loans are just going to evaporate is just not something I'm for. All that to say, these private student loans, again, you really have to avoid. If you have one, I'm so sorry. The only way to get out of them is to pay well over the minimum payment. That is the only way. But before we get further into this, let's see another video.
Know what type of crack Sallie Mae is smoking that they think for the amount of $40,922 they should receive back $118,305.59. Well, I understand that this is an estimated cost. The fact that for financing the money they want $77,383.59 is asinine. Now, back in my day when I was in college, I don't even think I paid that much for the 4 years I went to school. So to think they should get that for 1 year of schooling is insane. And I get it. If this is the fixed interest rate, 13.500%, and then the APR is 13.474%. But then they got the audacity to tell me that to finance this $40,922, they should receive $77,303.59 is the most SMD.
The crazy thing about this video is that's only 1 year. It's only 1 year of school. In this case, I'm guessing it's her child, because she said that she paid for school and it was much cheaper, obviously. But that was only 1 year's $40,000, a 13.5% interest rate on $40,000. That is unacceptable. You cannot sign the dotted line on that loan. If you do, I'm so sorry. You have made a terrible mistake. In a previous video, I talked about student loans, and with new legislation that was put out, there's now caps on student loans that an individual borrower can take out. This should have been in place from the beginning because, as we've seen, this is proof. If there is no cap on the student loans, then the lenders will just lend an unlimited amount of money, seemingly, and the cost to attend these colleges will go up, because why not? There's nothing to stop the cost from going up because there's no cap. Thankfully, now there's a cap. But it's so interesting because, again, talking about this cap, there's some people that are saying it's a great thing. There's some people saying it's restrictive. And it's like, what more do you want? People are saying that this is getting too expensive. Then you have this girl at the beginning of this video who is extremely upset because she's paying all this money and it's just going to interest. If there was a cap in place, that would not have happened. Would she have been able to go to college? I don't know. There's a possibility. The answer to that question is no. However, when you look at everything, she would probably be in a much better financial position not having gotten the loan to begin with. All that to say, I've found other videos too. There people are getting very creative on how they want to avoid student loans and student loan payments, and I thought this one was a little interesting.
Okay, this isn't ethical at all, but what is stopping me from going to credit card companies, lying about my income, getting a huge credit limit, and then paying off my student loans with them with a balance transfer and then filing bankruptcy? Because then at that point, it's normal debt.
Obviously, a few things that would not work out in the situation. You know, that would assume you'd be able to get a large credit limit, which with all those student loans, I doubt you'd be able to get a large credit limit. Also, it is fraud to do such a thing. But people are getting desperate. And I completely understand because, you know, I can empathize. A lot of people were not told the reality of student loans. They were not told what they were signing up for. And of course, again, like I said, I have a nuanced perspective on this. Though I say that, I also think that these people should be able to pay back the loans. I think the system itself is broken. I think the system now is hopefully in the direction of getting fixed. And I also think how people are hiring and how people are doing after college is really going to shape student loans, the industry of student loans, and secondary education as well. This next video, I think, does a good job explaining that. So let's take a look.
Prediction that I need to say right now. I've been thinking about it a lot. I genuinely think degrees are going to be obsolete in the next 10 years. I think our generation will be alive to see the death of degrees. Degrees used to mean guaranteed income. So you paid a lot for your degree, but don't worry, babe. You're going to make your money back with that big fancy job it's going to get you.
Yeah.
Now you've got people with bachelor's
Right.
degrees, master's degrees, PhDs struggling to find entry-level work. I think the market's going to pop. I do.
100% agree with this. And as unfortunate as it is, there's a reality we have to look at. When you look at all the data, men now that have degrees are just as likely to not have jobs as those who don't have degrees. That is scary. If you are sold, basically, if you are sold, you get this degree, you take out this loan, let's just say for the sake of argument that the total amount that you borrow is $100,000, right? Over 4 years. And you get a job that will pay you, $100,000 a year. You'll be able to pay that back off comfortably, assuming you have interest, within 4 to 5 years, right? But now let's look at the reality. Most people are not making $100,000 a year. Most households don't even bring in $100,000 a year. So if you and your spouse, assuming this couple I've made up is married, have student loans that now total $200,000, you are going to struggle to pay those off quickly unless you take drastic measures, which people do. People do that. People that follow Dave Ramsey, for example, do that. And that's amazing. We love to see that. What I would recommend people do now, if you're carrying student loans, is just to pay them off as quickly as you possibly can. And this is where it gets hard, because if you're carrying a high balance and a interest rate that is high, like in a private student loan, you're going to have to make drastic life changes. There's no other way around it. It's either that or you truly have this loan for the rest of your life. Is it fair? Probably not. Probably not fair. But with this channel, we are all about taking personal responsibility, even if it's not fair, because sometimes this life's not fair. And I want to see you get out of the loan and see you get into a place where you're actually thriving financially. And I think waiting for any type of government assistance, any type of forgiveness is a fool's errand, as you could see from the past 5 years. One administration said they were going to forgive $20,000 of student loans outright, and additionally forgive other things. That didn't happen. And now we are in an administration where they have a very, very opposite philosophy, where they want the money back now. And the point I'm trying to make is you just have to take responsibility for yourself, what is within your grasp, and everything will be all right in the end if you have that mindset. And no one is going to help you, or at least you can't have the mindset that people are going to help you, because that holds you back ultimately from being decisive, making decisions, making radical changes that are going to help you in the long run. And if you're someone that's looking to go to college, or if you're a parent of someone that's looking to go to college, really, really consider the schools that you choose for yourself or your child, because it's not looking good in terms of what the future of education, secondary education, is looking like. Degrees are becoming less and less valuable. The costs are continuing to increase. The only thing we have going for us is that there's a cap now on how much you can borrow. So, and even with that, a bubble will burst eventually. The point of having a cap on these lending programs is so that eventually the cost comes down. That's going to take time. It's not going to happen overnight. So really consider a lot of things before you enroll your child into school, because I think also how work is going to unfold in the next 5 to 10 years is going to change drastically. And I think if you just have common sense, you're going to see that with everything that's happening online. And so we're in a weird place, because these student loans are really, getting people in trouble. And I hate to see it. And if you're someone that is dealing with that, please, like I said, do everything you can to start paying them off as quickly as possible, because that interest, whether it's 3% or 17%, that interest is going to get you. It's going to bite you in the butt and potentially keep you in debt for a very, very long time. And we don't want to see that. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that it was enlightening. I hope that you learned something. If you have any questions, or if you agreed or disagreed with anything I said, please leave it in the comment section below. Please also subscribe to the channel if you enjoy what you're seeing. We're making more content like this. And so, yes, thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed this, please click on the next one that is floating in a box next to me. And until next time, peace.